In 10 years, people will call you lucky because you bought Bitcoin under 100,000 US dollars. Right now, 65 US dollars will be looked at the same way as we currently look at $600 buy-ins in Bitcoin, $1,000 buy-ins in Bitcoin. This will be a crazy story for you to tell because this is genuinely a generational wealth opportunity. I'm going to dive deep today with Maurizio on why Bitcoin is currently in a very deep value zone. And from here on out, it's way easier within a year to double or triple your money. Enjoy.
This is in case we need to share.
Let's talk about where Bitcoin currently is. It's interesting to see all those different things that we can look at. We have the on-chain metrics, we have all those different charts. And I want to make this very clear. I don't think it's possible to hit exactly the bottom. I think that's not the conversation, and that is not something even remotely realistic, in my opinion. But there is something that I call, and I'm curious how you think about, that there's something called a deep value zone, where if you look at 4 or 5 different metrics, this, if you judge on the historic data, has been an amazing zone to be as aggressively buying Bitcoin as possible. And I personally think we are in the middle of that deep value zone.
I agree, by the way, super well said. I think, none of this is financial advice, by the way, but I believe that no one is going to catch the top and the bottom. If anything, the market is going to do the opposite. People are going to buy the top and sell the bottom, if on average, right? Then there are some traders, they're amazing. Maybe 2% of people, they trade. Because remember, when you exchange fiat and or other whatever for Bitcoin, you're trading something. So it's getting really hard for people to catch the top and the bottom. And that's greed and fear representing always over and over. So it's 100%, I agree with you. It's impossible to time the market. Actually, time in the market is better than timing the market. I say it all the time. But having said that, having an overview of the market and speculating, super fun, because I like looking into the data, but I don't let the data dictate my strategy. Not because, and I can't say strategy anymore because people think about Seyr. Plan, not strategy, right? So I don't let the data dictating my plan, meaning even if I see some things in the data, I don't necessarily go and sell my house because Bitcoin is cheap, but you can use it to cope with the bear market and or to project, maybe for fun. And something you can do also is have I call it intelligent DCA. So I would argue the best method is buying consistently on a weekly, on a monthly base, whatever you wish. But you could increase and or decrease your DCA, specifically if some of the signals that you look after, they are telling you something. So that's why having a dashboard with some data was interesting for me, to also offer something for me when I do my shows with the data guys and analytics. I always have to go somewhere else. And I had like 59 tabs open and I'm like, maybe I have to do my own thing. But again, none of this is financial advice, none of this is trading advice. And please do not use any of these that we are going to discuss to go and buy and or sell because of a signal has been flashing. So super well said.
Yeah, I think that's that. I look at it that way. If you want to buy your favorite socks, and I bring that sock example up because socks is something you just need. I mean, you don't need them, but like I need them, and so you have your socks, and they usually go up in price because inflation. And there are sometimes nice prices for socks. Let's say you buy a pack and it's like $2, $5 usually. And sometimes it goes up and it's like $7, $8. If it goes down again to like $4, you're like, oh, those socks are super cheap. I need them anyways. I pack a few more in there. And if they go back up to $10, I'm like, hey, I got them for half the price off. And it was a really good buy zone for socks. Now, obviously, with socks, you cannot make a profit, so you have to use them. I don't think anyone buys socks and sells socks to make a profit, but
Yeah.
but that's the best example of like making sure something that you love. If you love something and you can make sure you buy something when it's extremely cheap comparative to the historic data, is even better than just always buying it. So
100%. I mean, imagine, okay, maybe we could go a little bit lower. Let's say we could go to, I don't know, 48,000, for example, which is possible. Yeah, sure, of course. But we already had a 50% correction. So how long? This is, again, greed, because you think, oh, I'm going to wait until it's going lower, and then I'll tell you what. If there is a case for Bitcoin to go to 48, you are not going to buy a 48 because you're going to wait 35. So you are creating a trap. Whether I gave an example to Neil on my live show last week, and I said, imagine if I go to the gym only when I eat junk food. Like I'm eating a pizza, I'm going to the gym. Okay. No, that's not how it works. You have to go to the gym always, meaning you have to show, this is what I'm doing. I'm not even doing that anymore. I don't even DCA. I literally invoice my clients in Bitcoin, but it could have been seen as a DCA, right? A dollar cost average, whatever. But if you only buy when certain things are aligning, you are risking your trading basically, whether if you show up every single week or every single month, regardless. And you can keep some fiat on the side in case we have another correction. Sure, like you can do intelligent DCA, whatever you want to call it. I think that makes sense. But I would not stop buying monthly because you think we're going lower, because this is when you're going to get punched in the face. And if you remember, in every single cycle, and I was pretty much here all the time, whenever we went to $3,000, people were calling $1,000. There's even songs. Tom Vase calling $1,000, Bitcoin is going to the moon, kind of a YouTube song. Then on the previous cycle before, at $15,000, people were calling $10,000. Oh, there is a CME gap at 9,000. Never happened. So most likely this time, I'm not saying the bottom is in. We could go a little bit lower, sure. But I am sure that there's going to be people now. By the way, in my comments as much as in yours, I'm probably sure people are calling 20,000, 15,000. And I'm like, okay, dude, I don't do whatever you want, but waiting for Bitcoin to correct another 50% for you to enter, I don't think it's a good strategy. Whether we already seen a 50% correction, like you said, it's time to at least start your DCA, at least. Plus, if you live into a fiat standard, who cares? Like you should pile up for the next 20 years. So 20 years from now, people are going to call us lucky. Oh, lucky them. They could buy Bitcoin for $60,000. It's always the same story on repeat. So those people, they are trying to time the market. Usually they are getting slaughtered by the market. That's how it works, sadly. So don't be slaughtered, have a strategy or a plan, I should say. Show up consistently. That's how you build gains, right? Simple.
And you have this one here. You wanted to show something here?
Oh, yes. Sorry, I was on the price. I wanted to show something quickly. So you can see, because we talked about the price, you can see here, again, I'm not a TA, but I look at charts as much as everybody else, and I have my own conclusions. Again, none of these are dictating my strategies. I don't care about what Bitcoin does in dollar terms, but it's fun to see where it's gone and where it could go. This, by the way, the bottom of this line is November 2022. So you can see this is a weekly time frame. So one candle is 1 week. You can see we've been hopping on this line consistently a lot. And we just bounced back there. So I don't know what that means in terms of can we go lower? Sure. Lines can be broken, no problems. But it looks like we could forming like an inverse head and shoulder there. Perhaps we go up a little bit more. We do like an inverse head and shoulder. Maybe if you are a trader, you could potentially look into this. But long story short, I believe, like you said, we already corrected massively from the top, whopping 55% almost. So what are you waiting for? Do you want to go lower? Sure. Can we go to 48? Of course we can. Anything is possible in Bitcoin. But just to give you a perspective, if we go to 48 from the top, which was 126 October 5th or 6th, I think, depending on the exchange, you can see here we are talking about a 78% correction, which, to be honest, it wouldn't be fair. Why? Because we haven't gone that much up. So if we would have gone to $250,000 from the previous bottom, I would argue a 77% correction would have been due. But since we've gone not that much on the upside, I would then argue we shouldn't go that much on the downside, right? That's logic. So far, 50% correction, 55. It is a little bit smaller. You can see here in my dashboard, if you go into the return page, you can see that we have gone, compared to previous years, those are the kind of year candles, into a different path. You can see that we have gone, technically 2025 should have been a green year. Remember, right? If you believe into the 1, 2, 3 red, 1, 2, 3 red, 1, 2, 3 red, we actually broke a pattern for the first time. We've gone 1, 2 red. So 2025 should have been green, right? Compared to the 1, 2, 3 kind of pattern we had so far. If we closed the year at -7%. So technically, what I would argue is the losses that we are going to miss in 2026 are going to be reached by combining 2025 and 2026. So the 7% we lost in 2025 is going to go into 2026 losses to kind of rebalance the whole thing. So
do you have the MVRV score chart on your thing, or just
I just have a kind of a widget here. By the way, I'm building this dashboard purely from a need perspective. So if there's anything you guys want me to add, let me know. But I do have only a tiny widget in terms of MVRV score, this one. I will probably build a page specifically for it, because that's interesting also to look at.
I'm asking because I think there's a bigger story going on, and maybe I should I put myself out there. Maybe I should do that before. I think Bitcoin has changed significantly in the last like 2-3 years because of institutional buying. Yes, strategy is already in Bitcoin since 2020, but strategy is the only buyer in the early days, and then slowly multiple more companies have been joining. Now I think 2023 2024 has really been the start of that. It's also the year where Donald Trump came into Bitcoin. I mean, you can argue of like how much he actually came into Bitcoin, but the president of the United States was on a Bitcoin conference, was in the New York City pub where he made a Bitcoin transaction. I think this marked for me the real beginning of institutional adoption for Bitcoin. It also correlated with the Bitcoin ETF with IBIT and BlackRock. Also, strategy started buying Bitcoin a lot more. 2024 was by far the best year they had in terms of how many Bitcoin they were able to buy in absolute terms. And 2026 might be even better than that, but let's see how the rest of the year goes. But let's talk about strategy a little later. My point is that when institutional money gets involved, it looks very different to when just retail money is buying Bitcoin, because retail is acting very different, has a very different time horizon than institutional money has. And so if you look at that chart again, and I'm curious what you think around that, because if you look at that chart, we've seen in the past, 2013, the C's. So I think I should probably explain what the C-score is. Basically, it's looking at what have been all the prices that have been Bitcoin bought at in the past, and comparing that to the current spot price. So it's basically the distance to how far off are we from people realized prices. I don't know if that made sense now, but basically, when we are very high, it's Bitcoin is on a very high note. And so we have been in the past on C scores like 9.2. That's insanely high. Even here, 2018, 9.3. 2021, we have been at like 7. Now, the last bull run in 2024, where we crashed to the 100K, we went to 2.8. So way lower, like 4 times lower than in the past. But now we also are not under zero. So it seems to me, and I'm curious what you think about that just because of the institutional buying, Bitcoin has kind of flattened out the volatility, and most people stay in the green, which means C-score over zero. But also they're taking some profits on top. They are doing some reallocation, as institutional buyers usually do. And now we have kind of not as high, but also not as low of a curve, also because we have more support when Bitcoin goes down because of the institutional buyers.
I mean, absolutely. Implying that with a different type of investors, the price won't reflect it. It would be crazy. Imagine if you and me are going to play basketball and then Michael Jordan shows up. I mean, it's not going to be the same game anymore. So you now have a different player entering the space. And of course, the price is going to reflect. And by the way, if you are a cyclist, I call cyclists people, they believe in the Fourier cycles, which so far have been playing out. I mean, in the top has been showed up when the top is going to be. Now the bottom is going to show up when we don't know. In retrospective, we can only say after. But if you are someone who believes October is going to have, which I don't, by the way, and I will apologize if I missed the mark, but I do not think October is going to have a bottom as everyone is expecting, because that would be, I mean, could be, sure. And by the way, I'm not changing my strategy either way, just having an opinion. But having said this, is because diminishes, like, volatility goes in both directions, right? So you go up a lot and down a lot. So if you go up less, it's logic to say you'll go down less. Plus, I have some data on the ETF, and you can see since 2024 has been, since when the ETF had launched in 2024, there's been a lot of money coming in the market. So that alone has been changing the course of the price. Now, interesting, I have a metric here that I can show you. If you click on ETF flows, you can see a couple of things. So let me zoom in so you can see. So first of all, I've tried to design some sort of a correlation between the price of Bitcoin and the volume in the ETF, in and out. And as you can see, the correlation is not there. It's weak. But if you change the time frame, if you go into a smaller time frame, the correlation changes. So this one, for example, is not bad. So on a 30 days, the price of Bitcoin and the price of the ETF, so the volume coming in, is kind of correlating with Bitcoin. 2024, look, is identical. For the whole year in 2024, I mean, since August when it was launched, the ETF, it's basically a mirror of the price. But then depending on the time frame you analyze, it kind of matches it or not. But you can see here clearly, I have to build the next layer, which is which ETF has been buying, even though most is IBIT or BlackRock. But you can see that the volume has gone in massively. And if you go all the time, you can see 22 billion have gone in net inflow, and 61 have gone in, minus 38, you have the net 22 billion. So part of these is retail. Last time I had a couple of people, kind of ETF expert, they told me that 70% of the volume was retail. But I would argue that the more we go forward, the more institutional adoption is going to come into the ETF. So this alone is changing, of course, the course. And you can see in June this year, in 2026, we had the largest outflow in ETFs with 4.5 billion literally in 1 month. So you can see that monies are going in and out. Arguably, I think some of the whales, they started off the old thing, they believe in the cycle and they create the cycle by reflection. If they buy in or sell, they can't technically move the market, but they can ignite the move, if it makes sense. Even some people are talking about Seyr is manipulating the market. It's like, guys, Seyr is not doing much to the market. I mean, his contribution is massive, but in terms of price, if strategy buys and or sells, it cannot cause a 10% move in Bitcoin, maybe 1%, maybe, depending if he buys 30,000 Bitcoin. There is no correlation there. So ETFs are, I think, important as well as the sentiment. But if you go here, because we talked about cycles, what people are expecting now, I kind of designed some sort of a cycle calculator. If you're a cyclist, again, you can use this to do whatever you wish. And technically, if data is going to, again, sample size is nothing, super small. Like when I talk to any analyst, they say, well, if you want to build a model and you only have 3 sample size, it's going to be difficult to decide what's going to happen after. I mean, you should have 1,000, the more, the better. But this is what we have, so we can make more up. And you can see here, if the cycles are going to repeat, let's say in October, all the way until middle November, we should find somewhere the bottom. And you can see here, those are the cycles in comparison. We are indeed short, so we can still go down a little bit more. But it doesn't mean we are going to be lower. We could simply just go sideways. If anything, I would argue the most annoying thing would be to just go sideways, because he's going to take both bulls and bears by the horns and take money from both sides. So I don't think we're going to see like that capitulation in October that everyone is expecting to whatever 48 or 35,000, because that will be, quote unquote, too easy for the market to allow. So I think instead we either already bottom there, or we just might go sideways, which is the most annoying thing. When you go crab market, they call it, you are annoying everyone, plus summer is coming, the Clarity Act is going to pass or not. So again, please do not wait October to do anything, because you will get potentially smacked in the face. And if anything, depending on the data you look into, there are some bullish signs as well. But even if we could go a little bit lower, I don't think numbers like 20,000 are on the cards. I mean, I would be surprised if we break 50,000 to be maybe 48. 48,000, by the way, it's when the ETF launched. The price of Bitcoin was 48. So maybe there is gravity there. But it might be one of those things where we wick down super fast and people are buying order, boom, and it's gone. So if you are someone waiting, you'll be there left with the ticket and the train is gone. So lots of interesting data here, which we can go into if you want. But again, if you are a cyclist, you're probably waiting for the bottom to show up. Again, no financial advice, but it will be wise to, I mean, you should already have started your DCA, to be honest, maybe here. in January, once we gone to 59, I would have argued this was your opportunity to enter the market. Even here, to be honest, which was November 2025, because we already had a significant correction there. Then we have another one. Great. Now, if you're waiting for another one, I think you're going to get punched in the face. So can we go a little bit lower? Sure, we can. But I wouldn't bet the farm on it. If anything, no financial advice, but I think a nice DCA probably now is the perfect time. Even Benjamin Cohen, a friend, has been on my show multiple times. He's saying, technically now is the time to begin. Even if you go down a little bit more, on average, you'll be okay, because we don't know how low Bitcoin can go. So again, waiting for something, like you said in the beginning, we already had a 50% correction. So that's greed, right? Like, look at this. This is just a fantastic entry. Regardless, if we go a little bit lower, you have a massive correction there. So I don't know how you feel, but I agree with you. I don't think delay an entry now is a clever thing to do.
Are you looking at anything else when you think about the Bitcoin price?
There are some data I like to look into it. For example, there are some on-chain parts I look at, but again, none of the data I look into is going to allow me to change my plan or anything. Holder in profits is interesting. This potentially is the most bearish signal of them all. But I would argue, like you said in the beginning, now you have companies like Strategy and they will hold Bitcoin. So this again shows the number of addresses in profit. And you can see that we usually bottom at 42%, but we're now around 65. But the thing is, this is going to grow over time, right? Because many more companies are going to hold. So all the data we have, I think, is going to change one way or another. This is fantastic. We were chatting before the recording started. You can see here, this is measuring the number of wallets they hold over 1,000 Bitcoin. And you can see clearly we had a lovely run. Look at this. So this is 2019. You had 1,870 wallets they had one, Bitcoin over 1,000 in the balance, and it's gone up. Like, look at this beautiful rally there. And we topped at 2,400. Then literally we equally bottomed. So the move we've seen going down is basically matching the move we've seen going up. But look what happened this time. In 2022, we've gone up a bit, down, up a bit, down. So this is a different pattern. This shows that we are building some sort of a staircase to heaven, right? As opposed to going up a lot and down a lot. And you can see by the price, we have not gone into a crazy euphoria top. 126 was apathy, no euphoria, like Benjamin Cohen said. So clearly the bottom is going to match the same vibe, I feel. And for those people there, again, waiting for a lower number, it could be a cold shower, because I don't think that number is going to show up. So there might be a flash towards the end of the year, who knows, but I wouldn't count necessarily on it. So this is also another interesting metric I like to look into it, because as you can see visually, and again, there is not many data points, right? So sure, you can compare what happened in 2019 versus 2022, but it's all up in the air. We are all, I call it male astrology, right? We don't know what we can look into the data, but having a strategy, imagine managing your wealth, your portfolio, because in 2019, Bitcoin has gone, dude, honestly, you shouldn't do that. It's like eating junk and going to the gym. You just go to the gym consistently. It doesn't matter what you eat. So here, designing a portfolio strategy based on the fact that Bitcoin, usually you can go into the return and you can see, oh no, wait, Bitcoin is on average in July is positive. So let me buy. Dude, who cares? Like, it's like, this is gambling, right? We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen here. Of course, we have some data samples, but I would not build a strategy to invest in Bitcoin because something happened in 2018 once, But that's part of I think it's part of the conviction. Some people, maybe they don't believe in Bitcoin. They just want to use Bitcoin to make more dollars, which is fine. This was me in 2017. I didn't have any conviction in Bitcoin. I just wanted to make more money, more dollars using something. So it depends on where you are in your journey. And I don't judge. People have to start somewhere, right? So everyone is where they have to be. Someone like you and me obviously have a different perspective on Bitcoin than someone that works in finance and they want to buy a new car. So it's all up for grabs, and I don't judge. I'm just happy that I participate one way or another. And I think the longer you are in the market, the more you will start appreciating what we are saying now. So if you are someone new who just joined, I think the best thing you can do is ignore all the noise and just show up every week, every month, use money you can afford to invest for 20 years, and just don't worry about anything else. On average, you'll be okay. There's going to be volatility coming in, but that's just noise.
We Bitcoiners always preach not your keys, not your coins, but we're giving away all our data to the big tech servers. Your passwords, your identity, your accounts. That's why I personally switched away and started using Proton Pass. Everything is end-to-end encrypted, so not Proton and not anyone else can read your data. And look how simple this is. I just click here once on the login button and I automatically get the passkey sign-in from Proton. With just one click on it, I'm signed in. And of course, it also stores all the two-factor authentication codes. And if my credentials ever show up in a data breach, it warns me so I can act very fast. If you care about holding your own Bitcoin, you should also care about holding the control of your own data. It's the same fight. And the best part is you're not sacrificing your convenience. It's privacy and security by default. And you can start for free right now. And if you want to upgrade to Proton Plus, you get that for just $1 for your first month. Link is in the description and in the pinned comment down below. So go to proton.me/pass/Robin Seyr. Make sure you close your digital front door. It takes you 5 minutes and €0 to start with. Again, that's proton.me/pass/Robin Seyr. Yeah, and I think it's also, every single metric is a little confusing. For example, one thing that we haven't talked about, I don't know if you're a friend or an enemy of the power law, but the power law, for example, has crossed the support line for the first time ever, I think in June or so. I don't know exactly date, maybe beginning of July. And this would seem like it's the best place to buy Bitcoin. It's amazing that we crossed the power law support line for the first time ever for I think $1,000. It was under the support line. But then you look at the C-score and we are above 0. And in historic, we have been under 0 in the crashes, which is okay, what are you looking now at? Are you taking power law? Are you taking the C-score? Then you can also look at a 200-week moving average. We have been down at the 200-week moving average a little bit. But in 2022, we have been down a lot. We have been under the 200-week moving average. I think, what was it, 7,000 under it. And we have been there for 7 or 8 months under the 200-week moving average. While in 2020, for example, we only have been under the 200-week moving average for a week. And now we only have been under the 200-week moving average for a few days at most. And so it's, again, what are you looking at? Are you looking at the power law? Are you looking at the C-score? Are you looking at the 200-week moving average? The only insight for me that is really, really valuable, look at all of them and see what they're telling you. And every single one of the metric is telling you this is a deep value zone. It might not just be the complete bottom. We might have some room to go down on, but that's a good thing because I don't think you have all that money saved up and you want to dump it at one day. Just take your money and spread it out across the deep value zone and then invest in that kind of sphere. Don't buy Bitcoin when it's at C-score at 9 at the top of the market where everyone buys it. Do it when it's under 1, under 0.5, when the 200-week moving average is not when the spot price of Bitcoin is not 4 times as high as the 200-week moving average. Do it when it's close to it or even under it as it is right now. So I think that's my only takeaway from all of that is don't try to time the market, but you can see how well you're currently getting the value for your money back. So it's a little bit, all of them together for me is a little bit like a PE ratio of a company. Kind of it's also not perfect. You have different companies with different PE ratios. Some are good buys with 5. Some are good buys still with 50. Some don't even have a PE ratio because they're not even profitable yet. but they could still be a good buy. So, you know, like it's hard to value things. But if everyone is saying the same thing, I think it might just be a good time to start. But of course, maybe Bitcoin is just magic into the money and it's gone tomorrow. So we don't know.
Exactly. Speaking of the power law, I recorded an episode last night with Giovanni, Matthew, Plan C. They all have a different power law view. So whenever you say power law, there is so many different options and variations, which is crazy. And they got into debating which one is more effective. And so again, it's all up for debates. I think Giovanni is more on a higher level, saying, I want to make sure the power law exists. And then maybe someone like Plan C goes into the numbers a little bit more, and they measure block time versus real time. It's a rabbit hole on its own. But I've seen a lot of people posting incorrect data on the power law, abusing on the chart and say, oh, the power law broke. No, the power law didn't break. And if it breaks, it's going to take a few years to figure it out. Even if we go down to $20,000, doesn't matter. It doesn't break anything. It's not about a price in dollars, it's about time. So again, there is a lot of misconception when it comes to data. And sometimes people on X or on YouTube, they take data and they interpret data as they wish. So it's really dangerous to not only trust, like you said, a bunch of indicators, but trust someone who can interpret those numbers. It's like, imagine if I give you like a pot of data and I go, okay, go into the data and look for something. You will have a bias position. If you are a bearish person, you will go and look for the bearish signs. If you are a bullish person, look for the bullish signs. So someone who's generally neutral, it's impossible to find because you have your own bias. So data technically can offer you both bullish data and bearish data. It depends on how you go into the data. So that's also super important. And again, the only conviction I think you should have is, like you said so well, do I want to invest in Bitcoin? Yes. We've gone down 50%. It's a good time. That's simple as. I wouldn't even challenge any other charts or scores or whatever. 50% correction. It's not bad. Can we go down a little bit more? Sure. But I'll have a, 50% correction. So maybe we go to 60. Great. Another 10%. Who cares? Like you said, no one is going to catch the bottom and the top. And even if you are someone who's trying to sell at the top to buy the bottom, I would then argue you are a trader. And remember, only 2% of traders make money in the market. So sorry to be a negative Nancy, but you're probably not going to be the 2%. If anything, you are the 98%. So just keep that in mind. Whether the person who shows up and buys consistently, I mean, look at Seyr, man, with strategy. They just buy. Their SaylorTracker.com is an absolute masterpiece. They don't care. I mean, I bought the top multiple times. I'm in profit. Who cares? On average, it's gonna sort out whether, like you said, if you try to just be clever. Oh, I know better now. I can do better than this. I can just buy here and sell there. You're getting punched in the face so hard. I have a lot of comments on my channel saying, "Oh, you guys are perma bulls," and which is I'm irresponsibly bullish. Of course, that goes without saying. But I have people saying in my comments, "Oh, you don't understand. I'm going all in at 25,000." I'm like, okay, sure, that's great. Good luck. What can I say? When they say to the kids, "Don't touch the fire, man. You're gonna burn yourself. Don't touch it." Sometimes you have to have the kids touching the fire. So just go. You want to go all in at 25? Sure. Be my guest. Good luck. I don't have anything bad to say. I just feel sorry because it's very unlikely that's going to happen. And I guarantee you, by the way, if you are someone who wants to go all in at 25, like we said earlier, even if in the event of 25 happening, you're not going to buy because you're going to wait 15, you're going to wait 5. So plus you're probably not understanding Bitcoin because it's not about buying at 20 or 30. Bitcoin is about saving your money for the next 20 years. Who cares if you're buying at 60 or 40? 10 years from now, you will have a much better chance to fight inflation than today. So again, I understand price is tricky because price is driving people in, is creating interest. I get it. But this is the difference between a seasonal investor or Bitcoiner, you could say, or someone who just, like I said, me in 2013, 2014, I had no clue what I was doing. I just wanted to make money to buy a house. So I can't judge anyone because I was there too, right? So it's part of a journey. So instead of being toxic one another, we should help one another and say, hey, you know what? If now you have to experience this, maybe that's what you have to go through. And then after this, you will figure it out if you are a Bitcoiner or not, because then the market is going to test you over and over. So And I think to be a proper seasoned Bitcoin, you have to go through a learning, right? Like you and me have been gone through hell and back. Like it's not been people saying to me, oh, you're so lucky. Dude, I mean, it's been difficult. I've lost a lot of money. I invested in things I shouldn't have invested. I sold when I shouldn't have sold. I lost Bitcoins. So it's not as easy as, oh, you guys are lucky. There's no luck here, man. It's just like a journey of 10 plus years in going through the mud. So maybe someone is just starting off their journey. So we shouldn't be mean one another. We should, if anything, help, if it makes sense.
100%. And you touch on it, that Bitcoin went down 50%, and you touch on strategy, which is a thing that went down even further. And so it's even more fun to talk about it, I think. It's down, what is it? I think 77% it was when I last checked it. Yeah, 75. What is the top here?
I think it's 512 or something. It's gone over 500 at some point. I remember.
That's crazy. Then it's like 76, maybe 80% down, because Google is showing its own data. I think it went actually over 500. So I think, 512 or something like that. So it's been hammered down, and people are confusing something because, and I'm curious what your take is on Bitcoin. I just want to get that out of the way, because people are saying, oh, strategy is now broken. It's not working as nicely. And all of those things. I'm like, okay, if strategy is working as intended, it is working as intended as a amplified Bitcoin position. And so amplified Bitcoin means if Bitcoin goes up 2x, strategy should go up more than 2x. If Bitcoin goes down 50%, strategy should, in theory, go down further than 50%. And that's exactly what has been happening so far. But what's your overall take on strategy, on the business, on Seyr, and what's been happening? That's like, it seems like every week a new news piece, a new thing to talk about in the strategy world.
Yeah, that's a super good point. By the way, I agree. If I'm not mistaken, strategy is a 2.5 leverage on Bitcoin itself. So whatever happens to Bitcoin, either way, strategy is going to do that more aggressively, like you said. So if Bitcoin pumps 10%, strategy will pump more than 10%. If Bitcoin dumps more than 10%, strategy is going to dump further down. So as long as you know where you're investing, and now we have Stretch also, which is another product. They are doing a 12% dividend. They increased 0.5%. So I think Seyr is great. It's a net positive for the market. I like what he's doing. I don't have any strategy myself, neither Stretch. I rather have Bitcoin, but I have nothing against it. Bitcoin is for everyone. Who am I to say to Seyr, you can't build a company that buys Bitcoin and pays a dividend? Dude, that's fiat money. We already have that judgment. Bitcoin is for everyone. Like, Jeff Booth says is my enemy's money. So I'm okay with anybody doing whatever they want. If there is a market that is thirsty for that product, great, we have a product. If the market doesn't want it, it's going to go away. So that's how I see it. I think strategy is doing great. I think Seyr is awesome. I'm again net positive on the space. I don't necessarily invest into his products, but that doesn't mean that I don't like it. I respect everyone. Like I said, if you want to come up with a product, do whatever you want. If there is market, great. And by the way, if strategy and or Seyr are going to break Bitcoin, well, the simple answer is Bitcoin wasn't meant to be the money. That's a test, again, to see if the network can facilitate everything built on top of it. So overall, I'm grateful for what he's doing. And again, people judging Seyr, I think the most important thing is to do what you want to do for yourself. For example, I judge by not buying any, but I don't point fingers and say Seyr is a scammer. Just do it. Don't buy strategy. Buy Bitcoin, self-custody, run your own node, do whatever you want. And instead of pointing fingers, just take responsibility and do whatever you want for yourself. But again, that's a sign of maturity. And, we have a bunch of everything. And also, we should not forget that every time we grow into, this works for everything, not just Bitcoin. If you want to grow in life, you have to go into a less comfortable zone to grow into. So I think what we are facing is one of those growth moments where we are leaving the comfortable zone for the Bitcoin network to grow into a bigger zone. And there is a friction because we have not gone there yet, and we are expanding our growth. And this is when the most uncomfortable things are usually happening. So I think we are in that phase, and I think we will see many more companies to come. I think many are just watching Seyr. And of course, we are technically still in a bear market. So this is going to be a fantastic test. People have PTSD about FTX and other companies that have gone under, Empty Gox, etc. So Some, they might have skepticism on Seyr because of what happened before, but Seyr and strategy in this case has nothing to do with FTX or MTGOX, a completely different story. But again, people don't seem to understand calling names and paper Bitcoins and whatever it is. Again, my own actions are louder than what I say. I like Seyr, I like MSTR. I don't have any, but I have nothing against it. And my preferred method is still Bitcoin in self-custody. But I also understand it's not for everyone. Imagine my mom having Bitcoin in self-custody or a pension fund. I mean, people don't want, in general, responsibility. Think about this. Think about gold. Okay, gold has been around forever. How many have gold in their hands, in their safe, versus how many have gold into an ETF or into a financial product? I can guarantee you Bitcoin is going to be even less, because having gold is easier. You buy the thing and you hide the thing. That's it. Whether Bitcoin is the passwords and the hardware wallet and the learning and digital and internet. So if you think with logic, this idea of self-custody, get your own keys, bury into the garden, stamp into metal, dude, this is for like 0.001% of the population. And I'm one of them, so I'm thankful for the opportunity. But the normal individuals, they don't bury shit in their garden, man. I mean, it's such an extreme thing, and I feel like this extreme movement was needed to push the whole thing up. It's like when you fly a plane. In the beginning, you have a lot of friction. The engines are going super fast, and then you just go, okay, now we can chill for a few hours before we just go down again. So I think that phase is gone. Bitcoin has been, man, the progress has been incredible. So it's not for everybody. And as much as I love for you guys to go and stamp things and have custody, that's my message, DCA and self-custody. But I also recognize it's not for everyone. And also, most importantly, who am I to tell you what to do? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I am grateful for someone who buys an ETF. Maybe in 6 months, she or he'll become a self-custody guy or girl. Who knows, right? I mean, I bought my first Bitcoin into an exchange, MTGOX. So if there wasn't for that, I wasn't a Bitcoiner. So I can come after my journey, like 10, 15 years into it, and say, oh, a real Bitcoiner, dude, that was 15 years ago. I was doing the same thing. And again, we forget where we are started, right? And where we have gone. So I think instead of judging, I think having someone like Strategy offering some people an interesting product, I think it's fantastic. I can guarantee you, a small percentage of the people, they bought Strategy or they have Stretch, they might have self-custody in 5 years, right? So why fight it? I don't get it. I really don't. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm ranting.
It's actually a good point, because if you think about the game theory of Bitcoin, and just like what do you think Bitcoin will do when you got Bitcoin in like 2011 or 12, very, very early on? One part of that game theory always was and always will be, companies will buy Bitcoin. There will be national states that will buy Bitcoin. There will be people trying to borrow a bunch of cheap money to buy more Bitcoin. The speculative attack. Everyone in the early stage, in the cypherpunk stage of Bitcoin, has been talking and writing about that, because it was a normal process. Now it's happening. Now it's actually happening with Strategy, and now they're saying, oh, that's bad. Now it's financialized. Now it's a bad thing. And it's kind of, for me, like, but why? Like, wasn't it like, and I'm telling you, like, Strategy is inevitable to the success of Bitcoin, and not Strategy itself, but someone coming in doing the thing that Strategy is doing. Now, it was not inevitable that Strategy and Seyr is doing that. If he wouldn't have done it, someone else at some point would have come and would have done the same exact playbook. He's like, oh, I guess I should buy some Bitcoin. Okay. Oh, I can borrow all that cheap money. Let's buy some more Bitcoin. Oh, wait, I can pay people 12%. They give me their money and I get a 20, 30% return on my Bitcoin. And I can raise a bunch of Bitcoin with that and get more interesting, and my stock goes up, and I can raise even more Bitcoin. Like, all of those ideas are not, they are not like out of the, not new ideas in itself, putting it all together is like new and innovative, but like in itself, it's very simple ideas and things that you could have predicted 10 years, 15 years ago, when you are knowing what Bitcoin will be, that this is going to be happening if you want or not. Actually, if it would not been happening right now, it would actually concern people, because like, why is no company taking this bet? Why is no bigger institution touching those Bitcoin? That would be more of a red flag than them getting into Bitcoin. That's how I see it. It's like that's a green flag that institutional adoption is happening, the BlackRock is happening, that strategy is been happening.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we go to the next level, right? We don't go to the next level if people are never, even the never sell your Bitcoin, I think is such a bad message. I mean, if we would never sell our Bitcoin, nothing would ever happen. I think the beautiful thing is to exchange it, right? That's what I live into fully, into the Bitcoin standard. So I do sell, of course, that's the whole point, right? But again, I also understand that I'm a minority into a minority. Let's say 3% of the population have Bitcoin, 0.001 is like me, full in. And I understand that. So I know where I'm standing. I'm not saying everyone is going to have to go into the Bitcoin standard. Dude, people don't even understand what Bitcoin is. So we are so far away from that point. It's going to grow. But if we wish for Bitcoin to be more propagated, we need people like Seyr and Strategy to do things, to push the boundaries. We need politicians behind us. Of course, this is all part of the machine for propagating the whole thing. And I understand why some people have remained upset, because they want to stay in the cave. Bitcoin is money fighting from state and divide state. I'm like, guys, yes, of course, I agree in principle, but this is not how we get things moving forward. You have to be more diplomatic, and welcome anyone who has generally. I don't think Seyr is. I mean, I've seen a lot of names. Most important thing is, I don't know if you also have the same fee on X, Twitter, I should say, because I don't bend the knee in calling it X yet. It's still Twitter for me. But there are a lot of people, they are actually telling Seyr what to do. They have like a couple of thousand followers, and it's like, do you realize the Seyr has, wow, the balls for you to tweet that he's a scammer and he should do, or a lot of financial experts now. Oh, Seyr is making a mistake now. You should do this and that. Oh, I wouldn't have done that. Dude, you don't even have strategy. Shut up. Like, it would be like me going to Arnold Schwarzenegger and telling him, you're not lifting correctly, bro. You should probably change the way how you lift, because your biceps are not engaged. Look at my physique and look at his physique. Look at my history and his history. I can't go to him and say, you're doing it wrong. I don't have the resume. You know what I mean?
With Microseed, you can engrave your 12 or 24 word seed phrase, the entire seed phrase, onto a 1-inch small washer. Yes, just one washer. All 24 words on that one washer. You can hide that thing everywhere. And even better, you don't need to buy a new kit every time you have to get a new wallet. You can make unlimited backups, because Microseed is not selling the washer. Microseed is selling the device that stamps the washer. So you get the full kit with the device, with the washers, with the hammer, with everything you need to get started today. And you can make with that unlimited amount of backups. Go now to microseed.io. I finally and officially mine Bitcoin. This is not just something to stack more Satoshis, but it's most importantly also to support the network. Individual miners are the ones that keep the Bitcoin network decentralized. And by the way, you get KYC free Bitcoin. That's why I use Simple Mining. I get an actual proper Bitcoin miner. They set it up for me. They repair it if it breaks down. And most importantly, they let me choose the pool and even connect my own full node. I'm completely sovereign and I'm completely in control, and I can sign up with Ocean, no account needed. I just give them a Bitcoin address and then there's mining going on. No KYC, nothing. So if you're ready to mine Bitcoin, go to simplemining.io, tell them you come from Robin, and let's mine Bitcoin together. I'll show you one chart that I proudly made myself with Claude that I think shows how well strategy has been executing or has not been executing. And I'll show you this chart because a lot of people are now saying it's broken They are not doing good. They have to sell Bitcoin, all of those things. And they have a very high time preference, those people that say that. Because if you see here, and it's very easy to see, we have 2020. It's the first year where they started buying Bitcoin. This is 2021. So like this is the amount of BTC that they accumulated in that year. So 2020, 2021, in the height year, in the year where Bitcoin was going up to the moon, they have been only buying 53,000 Bitcoin, 54,000 Bitcoin roughly. Now, why are they only buying 8,000 Bitcoin in 2022? Because in 2022, as people might remember, was a horrible bear market. We went down all the way to 15 or 16K or something like that. As I said also before, we've been in 2022 the furthest down from the 200-week moving average from all types of previous crashes. And we have been down the longest from all previous crashes. So 2022 was a crazy bear market. And so that's why they only bought 8,000 Bitcoin. 2023, slowly the bull market started again. 2024 bull market was on full rise. It wasn't the most successful years with 257,000 Bitcoin. So why I'm telling you that whole story is because of 2025 was also a bull market, even though it was a little bit sideways and we closed the year negatively. But 2026, we are only going down. Like there has been no bull market in 2026 so far. From January, we started at 90, 100K, something like that, around that number. Now we had like 60, 65, whatever the current price is today. So we have basically only going down. And they had in the first 6-7 months now, 170,000 Bitcoin that they bought. If they buy at the same pace, then they bought this year so far, they will be having their most successful Bitcoin accumulation year ever, including the year 2024, including the year 2025, including the year 2021, where the Bitcoin price was ripping up. Now the MNAV is decompressed, the bear market is in full swing, and they're still buying so much. There's actually a chart that made me super bullish on strategy, just because I see their machine is working better than ever. So I would have expected 2026 to be a year where they barely buy any Bitcoin, like 30,000, 50,000. Now I see they are getting better. How's he called? Chase recently told me that comparison, which I absolutely loved. He compared strategy to a SpaceX rocket. And he's been saying the SpaceX rocket crashed a lot. it like failed a lot in the beginning because they needed to figure out a lot of different things. But once it's starting to go, it's like, wow, it's like such an interesting event. And I think that's what strategy has also been doing. They're trying different things out, different preferreds. It's the 5th preferred already that they're launching with Stretch. Actually, I think Stretch has been the 4th one. Stream has been the 5th one. But they are trying different things out. What is working, what is not working. And I'm telling you guys, I've never been more bullish on strategy than I'm right now. And I've been a guy that last December, like not even a year ago, told you, don't buy strategy, just buy Bitcoin. Now I'm still telling you this because I think Bitcoin is a far superior asset, is way better, has more to give you. But as a small spice in your portfolio, kind of like if you have that, I'm telling this now to a vegetarian, but if you have that big steak, the strategy can be your small beans, the green beans next to it, the spice that you put on top, the pepper that you put on your steak, the side dish, whatever you want to call it. This is, I think, a really interesting story. And a lot of people look at strategy with ideology classes, and then they're like, oh, it's not real Bitcoin, so I guess I'm not buying it. I'm like, that's a fair argument. Just stick with Bitcoin. But it's good for Bitcoin. And I think strategy has been doing better than ever. You don't have to buy it, obviously, but you cannot claim it's bad for Bitcoin, and you cannot claim it's a scam or in a death spiral. It's just ludicrous to say that.
Exactly. Well, first of all, I love this. And I love the fact that I think perfection is achieved by failing forward. So people have this thing about, oh, they failed. Of course, failing is a fantastic thing. As long as you keep going, you learn something of every failure. And I don't think Bitcoin is better than strategy. I think it depends on what you want. There is no, like you said, the dish, for example, it's so individuals. How can I say to you, oh no, you should buy Bitcoin because it's better? That's not true. So what are your goals? What are in your life? What kind of responsibility would you like to have? There are so many questions for me in order to say, I would recommend this to you, right? I think strategy is a fantastic addition to your portfolio. And I don't have any because I've chosen not to, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. There is a lot of stuff that I don't buy, but that doesn't mean I don't like them. It's just like, I think for some, by the way, in my network, I have many friends, they have no Bitcoin, they only have strategy. I know plenty of those people and they are very happy. And who am I to tell them, oh, dude, you're messed up. You're not a real Bitcoiner. Shut up, man. Shut up. You do you, you do what it works for you and let people do whatever the hell they want. Because even if you wish to convince them, these attitudes is not going to convince anyone. If anything, will push them away, because this is a toxic maxi that we all talk about every single time. Just let people do what they want. Some of those people, they bought MicroStrategy or strategy now, they might become a different type of investor. Maybe they'll sell everything because it goes 3x. Maybe they'll become Bitcoiners in self-custody. Maybe they'll buy an altcoin. Who cares? It's not up to me to tell them what to do. I think, if anything, the best advice would be make sure to study everything or as much as you can, and based on your needs, buy the thing that fits the most for you. And I think this mindset is so much missing in the old Bitcoin eco space, because everyone is like, they think they know better, right? Oh, I know, you're doing wrong. Dude, it doesn't work like this. I'm the guy. Do what I say, do what I do. That's never a positive thing, Just do you, right? And then you let other people do whatever they want to do. And I think strategy could be, and it is, a fantastic idea for certain people. Not everyone is like 100% maniac like me, who's all in Bitcoin. They may just want to have a 3% allocation. And who am I to say to them, oh, this is wrong, you should go all in and sell everything, and money separation from states. And dude, chill, let people do whatever they want. And I guarantee you, even if you go into an approach where you buy strategy, maybe an ETF, let's say 5% of your portfolio, I can confidently say that 10 years from now, 5 years from now, you're going to increase your position, because that 3% is going to make so much. I mean, hopefully, if everything plays out as I think it's going to play out, it's going to happen organically, right? And then you will, oh, wow, I tripled my money. Amazing. Oh, can I self-custody Bitcoin? Awesome. So this is going to take you there regardless. In fact, all those toxic maxis, they are all in, maybe like me. It's because they've been in the space for long enough, to learn the process and to realize what it is and study. So again, it's a journey. And I think we have to learn how to be more welcoming, as opposed to pointing fingers. You shouldn't have done it, and you are a scammer, and you should run this, and you should do that. That's part of the toxicity that I think we have to purge, but it's going to take a while, and maybe some is never going to go away, sadly.
Which leads us, I think, to a very important topic that we should address, is the Bitcoin sentiment, the Bitcoin community. And as in every bear market, people are getting salty. Saucy. I don't know.
Also saucy.
People are getting salty, and people are getting more bearish on Bitcoin. And so they're trying to figure out who's at fault here, while there's nobody else at fault. It's just like normal market. Like, as we said in the beginning, more people are selling than buying. That's the fault why Bitcoin is going down. But they're trying to find a villain. They're trying to find bad things. And now there are a few different stories that I would like to touch on with you. And I'm curious what you think about that. There's the Bitcoin 10 thing, core versus knots, all of it together. Then the second thing for me is the vilifying of Seyr. And he's kind of getting hero worshipped when Bitcoin is going up and strategy is going up. The best example is like the BTC Prague 2024. He came in like smiling and like glowing up because everyone was like loving him and cheering him up. Then like 2005, 2006, it was very different. Oh no, 2006 it was very different story because like strategy was down, Bitcoin was down. So it's like we're trying. In the bull market, we're trying to find the heroes. In the bear market, we're trying to find the villains. And I think the third one is just like people capitulating to Bitcoin overall. Maybe let's start with the first one. How do you think about the sentiment around BIP110, the core versus nodes thing, and what's been kind of your feel on overall the Bitcoin sentiment?
Fantastic points, by the way. And I completely agree. I think people like to blame something, like the weather, the government, my neighbor, And if there is one thing you should totally do is take responsibility, take charge, like Jeff Booth said, take agency. This is, I think, the core of a Bitcoiner, if you wish. Take responsibility for your life. It's not the government, it's not the weather, it's not your neighbor, it's you, always you. So the fact that people are out there finding a reason why to be miserable, misery likes company, they say. So they'd rather be miserable. And I can give you a ton of examples. I used to be a heavy smoker. I used to do 2 packs of Marlboros a day. And the day I stopped, all my friends, they didn't like it because I was reminding them they also could stop when they wanted. So any chance they had, hey man, take one. It's okay. It's Saturday. And I was sometimes taking one and thinking, okay, again, misery likes company, right? Instead of saying to me, well done, man. Oh, maybe you're going to inspire me also to smoke. I struggle, but seeing you, that you did it, maybe I'll do it as well. Those people are really rare. Hence why you have to surround yourself with people. They are going to shape your life in a different way because they are the 5 people you spend most time with on average is who you become. Anyway, interesting data there. But going back to the point, I think it's much easier to point fingers and say, oh, it's because of Seyr, it's because of Trump, it's because of whatever. So then you find excuse not to take agency, which is, I think, the problem. The problem or the opportunity should be, it's never anyone else's fault, it's always you. So if you operate by thinking, I have decided what I want to become, I want to be healthier, I want to eat healthier, I want to move, I want to go to the gym, I want to touch grass, I want to invest properly, then what Seyr does doesn't matter, right? Who cares what Trump does or Seyr does? I have my own strategy and I'm my own master. I'm in charge, right? I'm the bank per se. So I think a very small percentage of people are operating like this. The majority is operating like, oh, but it's not because of me, it's because of them. And sometimes they say them. We don't even know who them are, right? It's just random people we want to accuse. So we are definitely in that phase. BIP is interesting because I don't want to generalize. There are some nice people. Maybe they run Nox, they are pro Nox, they are pro BIP10. So I don't want to be generic when I say this, but there is also a lot of fake stuff, a lot of bots. There's a lot of people that are growing their followers because of the BIP110. I know a list of people, they are just tweeting things because they want to get more followers and it's easier to spot who they are. I'm not going to name them because they're not here, but it's clear to me at least. So it's okay. I don't judge. I don't care. I think there is an interesting discussion there. I'm not sure the average person understands what BIP10 is trying to do. And there is definitely something there, right? So it's like one of those rebellion thing, like, oh, I'm going to run my node because of images into the Bitcoin. Look, the Bitcoin chain is going to be spammed, like it or not. Spammers are going to find a way to spam things. So I'm not saying one is better than the other. Personally, I would like to side with the 110 because I'm for the camp Bitcoin is money. But out of the majority of the number of people, they are pro BIP 110, they make me want to vomit. So, and this is a problem, right? This is a problem because sometimes you might have a good argument, but you have a bad person that speaks the argument. So then it's going to make the argument go away. I'll give you another example. I have a number of people in my network, they said to me, oh, but Trump is pro Bitcoin, hence Bitcoin is terrible. Okay, but who cares? Like, sure, there are things people like to associate themselves with, but that doesn't mean the thing is bad to begin with. Like, I could, just because you don't like me and I like carrots, that doesn't mean carrots are bad. So you have to learn how to, decompose things and say, okay, well, there's a bad person who likes a good thing. Okay, cool. Hitler was vegetarian. Hello. So, I mean, it's all up to debate. So all I'm saying is the majority of the people, they stop to the first layer, which is, oh, Trump is a Bitcoiner, so I don't like Bitcoin. Eric and Trump Jr. are talking about Bitcoiners, so no, they are scammers, I'm out. So that shows how deep they've understood the topic. And I think the BIP 110 is the same thing. Most people stop to the first layer, either way, right? Either way, in either directions. So I don't run Nox, I don't run Core, I don't run a node. And I've been attacked multiple times. Oh, you don't run a node. You're not a real Bitcoiner. I just tweeted about it like a few hours ago. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm not a real Bitcoiner because I don't run a node? Dude, what are you talking about? Like, again, feeling, usually the attacker is the one who feels weaker. So if you are content and in harmony, you don't attack people, you don't care. But if you are in a position where you are not sure or you are afraid, you then attack, right? So I think that's what we are witnessing. Some people are attacking because of they have this fear or anger, right? But it's a good conversation to have. I think it's healthy having people debating things. And I appreciate you inviting different guests as much as I have, and funny to see how people react. If you invite a pro, nuts. If you invite a core guy, dude, we're giving space to both sides. I was actually begging people to debate years ago. I was tweeting, hey, I'm looking for people to debate. Nobody shows up. Nobody. So what can we do? Well, we can give both perspectives. We can give the perspective of the BIP 110. We can give the core 30 perspective. But then it's up to you to study and decide what is best for yourself. I don't tell people what node to run. I couldn't care less, to be honest, about the whole thing. But I suspect that the whole thing is going to go away probably in August or September when, something's going to happen there. But again, there are some valid points. Nothing is 100% evil, I believe. There is always a percentage of good even in bad things. So I believe besides the probably bad leadership they've chosen to represent the BIP 110, I think there are some valid points in there. And I think there should be a conversation. So if anything, what I think we're lacking of is more discussions. But again, when you do so, when you facilitate them, then you are a scammer. You sold out. You are someone who shouldn't have done it. Again, if you have done it, you shouldn't have done it. If you don't do it, you should have done it. So no matter what you do, people will find something to say about your work. And the funny thing is, most of the people they complain about you and me having videos, they don't even have a YouTube channel. So what we are discussing here, if you are someone who comes on my show and comment bad things about me, great. As long as there is some constructive criticism, tell me, hey, you shouldn't have done this. Instead, you should have done that. Perfect. I'll take it. I'll welcome it. And you can always go away and do your own show, by the way, because why not? But again, we are at the point where pointing fingers, it's much easier than do the work yourself. So sorry for the long answer. I would say I don't technically have a position. I am not running knots, that's for sure. I've never done it, and I will stay away from that thing as much as I can. Either way, I don't run core either. So I'm kind of Switzerland in between, and I focus on other issues. Grateful for whoever is putting up work in both ways. I have friends they support, I have friends they don't support, but I don't think it's a problem. I think we are making it bigger than it is, and it feels like most of the comments I'm getting are bots anyway, so I don't even understand, because they are looking suspiciously similar. So I don't think someone is going around and commenting, run B110, BIP 110, you nerd. They're always the same. So I don't know. I'll be very careful, but I think if you wish to learn, I'm probably not the person who has spent most time in investigating the issue, but I wouldn't worry. I'm not worrying much about it, to be honest. I just don't care. That's my simple answer.
The comments, to your point, look very much like the comments that I get around some shitcoins that are very targeted under some videos. They put out one very small shitcoin, a random name. I'm not going to name anything because I don't want to give it any air. And they have then under the last 5 videos, like 20 comments all of a sudden. It's not as aggressive as those shitcoin comments, I have to say, but they look very similar in my playbook. So like with now having, I don't know, like about 1,000 YouTube videos up and seeing the comments on the last like 3 years, I've been really good in spotting bots. That's why I'm like, why is YouTube so bad? if every YouTube creator that has done that for like 2-3 years can spot a scam comment within like 2 seconds, but that's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah, well, they have their own reason why. For them is engagement. It doesn't matter who's. I mean, they can say we have 1 million comments a day flying to channels, so they don't actually care. Actually, if anything, they would like it because they can say, oh, there is more people commenting, I think. So for them is, even with the like and dislike button, I don't know if you know, but if you either like or dislike the video, it's the same. YouTube doesn't make a distinction there. So some people are saying, I dislike the video because it's bad. Dude, you are actually helping me because YouTube doesn't make any difference between the like and the dislike. So yeah, I think they know exactly who are bots, but they don't care. Sorry to interject.
I have here and there some haters, and it's so funny because they click on every video, they comment every video, and they dislike every video, and I'm like, you're my biggest fan.
Yes, yes. How can you hate Robin, man? Come on, guys, go away. If you hate Robin, don't come and watch my videos because Robin is the best. I don't want you on my show either. Crazy, man. Honestly.
The Bitcoin 10 is interesting. I'll just close it off with I have a small prediction. I think it will not activate, and there probably will be a new soft fork proposal, or Bitcoin Core will change something around the op return. I could also imagine that. But that's just a guy that has no clue about anything, speculating on something that might happen in the future. So it's the same with our man astrology. So like, I think the first half of our podcast was man astrology for man, and now this one is kind of like your soccer football matchup versus like Luke Dasher versus Jameson Lobb versus Bitcoin Mechanic versus Justin Beckler. Like, we have all those people. It's entertaining. It's fun. I like fun and entertaining stuff. I like to watch it. I like to poke the bear here and there a little bit. I've done it on the core side with Jameson Lobb, Pete Rizzo, and other people. Stephen Livera, all of them have been on. They are obviously from the core side. I had Bitcoin Mechanic on. I forgot the second name. I had other people from the not side on. And every time I poke the bear from the other direction, it's a fun engagement thing. But in the end of the day, what I don't want you to do, and I want you to be very careful on that, if you do run a node, if you do mine Bitcoin, if you do have economic power behind your node also, like connected with your wallet, make sure you're not forking off and losing your generational wealth. That's my only caution. No matter what side you're on, no matter what you're doing, no matter what beliefs that you have, if you do have a strong position, we have seen it in 2017, we have seen it in other situations, make sure you're not forking off and make sure you're not losing your coins and be on the right side of history. It doesn't have to get to the point where there's a chain split happening and where there's like actual fork and you can lose your things. But if it comes that far, make sure you're not losing your coins. And it's funny also in the debate, because I'm now saying like, make sure you're not forking off. Both sides say fork off. So it's also really hard to do anything with that. But yeah, make sure you're not losing generational wealth because you have an ideology standpoint that you would like to put into everyone's face. I'll leave it with that.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And by the way, also I would add, my two Satoshis here, make sure that whoever said something, you don't follow that ideology because of someone. Like the fact that you like me, Robin, Seyr, whoever influencer should never dictate your decision on the matter, because debates are never won on logic. Most of the time is charisma, is expertise. If I'm someone who debates for a living and I'm debating, which I'm not, but it's just an example, and I'm going to debate someone who has never debated anything or anyone, most likely I will win, right? But that doesn't mean that my argument is stronger. Also, it depends on how I speak and my look. There are so many variables. In fact, we've seen it in history multiple times. There was a presidency back in the days, and the debate was heard on the radio and seen on TV, and people, they have never seen them debating physically. They had a different opinion, because again, you don't factor in looks and charisma, and there are so many variables. So please, whatever you decide to do, which I will respect until the day I die, and I don't care, make sure it comes from proper research and not because Lynn Alden or Michael Saylor or myself or Robin or Luke Dashir or whoever said something, because that should never mold your vision or blur your vision. It should always coming from you. So that's the only thing I'm super particular about, because that's a bad way to decide what to do with your money, because someone has said something somewhere on X. As far as I know, history is teaching us. We've seen it before. The big block in 2017 happened, and some people have convinced an army of people because they wanted to take whatever their points, and it was never a good idea sometimes. So yeah, just be careful. That's the message.
Be careful out there. And you don't run a node, but I encourage people to run a node, and not only because of like you have to defend the network or anything like that. I do that because I want people to experience the whole Bitcoin network. I think, and I don't know if you have ever spun up one, but I encourage them because we are very early in a very big revolution, and there is a lot of things happening. And if you run a node, you get to know Bitcoin on a different level. I've been waiting to run a node for a very long time. So when I started the podcast, I was not running a node, full disclosure. I was not. But then so many people were talking about nodes, and I was like, I really have to do it now. And I was like, like, why should I do it? I have to spend money, I have to spend time, I have to educate myself, all of those things. And then there was one reason why I did it. And the reason was I want to know Bitcoin from as many angles as possible. It's the same reason why I mine Bitcoin, by the way. I don't necessarily think it's a financially good decision to mine Bitcoin. It can be if you're doing it right, but it's not necessarily a financially wise decision. It might just be better to just buy Bitcoin, especially at those historic lows that we are currently now at. And then one more thing on that, it's like you want to understand how the whole thing works. And so if you do that, you will have more conviction that you can buy Bitcoin, and you are stronger in bear markets and have the conviction building. So just for me as a point to put out there, if you run a node, if you do some mining, even if it's just like a small solo miner, you learn something about the network, which strengthens your conviction, which makes you a better buyer of Bitcoin, which I think will benefit you in the long run. That's my best case for running a node. Obviously, there's privacy reasons. There are things that you might want to be aware of. There's small benefits. There's defending the network. All of those things are true and amazing. But for me, it's the thing of like, you're very early in a revolution. Do you really not want to know how this thing is working, or just like at least figure it out a little bit?
It makes a lot of sense. I think everyone should contribute as much as they feel like. For example, I don't have any desire in running a node, but I do 10,000 other things that I'm passionate about. For example, I invoicing my clients in Bitcoin, and I think that's fantastic. I would encourage anyone to invoice people in Bitcoin. So I think we all contribute in a different way. So if you have a desire to run a node or mine Bitcoin, please do it. I think it will be amazing. We'll learn so much. I just don't care. I have other priorities, and I don't like when people judge me because I don't run a node. Who cares, dude? I'm all in. I literally live in the Bitcoin standard. Do you think I give a damn about a node at the moment? No, it would be great. Like, I think it's going to teach me a lot. I agree with you. I think it's fantastic. But at the end of the day, we have a priority list, and we decide what to do with our time. And I'd rather build a dashboard because I think it's more useful for now. Maybe in 6 months, I'll have more time, or when everything pumps, I can hire a couple of people and help me up. The only thing I dislike is when people are attacking other people. It's like, do whatever works for you. I think it's great. I think having people like you running a node is fantastic. I think you should totally do it. If that's something you wish to explore, 100%. But if people like me, I don't have any desire in doing it, and now out of a sudden I'm not a Bitcoiner because I don't run a node, that's the part I don't fully understand. But at some point, probably I'll put my hands into it. I was super attracted about the miner, which is also a heater. But dude, I live in Dubai, so the last thing I need is something who heats up my rooms. So maybe there is an AC version that could be more interesting. But there are things I have in my list, and I respect you for running your node. I think it's amazing, and I'll probably at some point reach out for maybe a couple of tips on how to do it. Maybe I'll make a few videos on how to run a node. It's just something I don't care to do now, but that doesn't mean I don't appreciate or I don't respect who's doing it. And again, it goes back to the same point, right? So if you focus on what you want to do, as long as you are in line with yourself, instead of judging people and going on, texting on comments that you should run a node, otherwise you're not a real Bitcoin. Just use that time to do something productive. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, hating on other people helps nobody. I have to come back to say, like, being cheerful and being constructive is one of his like 10 things of life that he put out one day. And I think this is one of the best things he ever put out there, like being cheerful, being constructive. And there's nothing wrong with giving someone advice, but there's everything wrong for judging a person for not doing something, or like even worse, hating on someone because he's not acting in the way you like it to be. And I think especially as content creators, we know it. There is so many things people want us to do that we don't want to do, and it's fine. It comes with positive. It comes with advantages and disadvantages having an audience, I guess.
Exactly. And I'm half a century old, right? And I can remember when I was much younger and I was learning my profession, because I've done something else for 30 years. And I remember my director coming and ripping off my design and saying, "Oh, this is shit, and you should never do this," and he was going away. Then, okay, what do I do? Like, I don't know. Okay, I know you don't like it. Great.
How old are you actually? Like 52, or like you?
No, almost, not 50 yet. Almost 50. So almost. Or in October, I will super close to 50.
It's so crazy. Like, you are almost, not entirely, but almost twice my age. Like, I'm 27 and you're almost 50. So like, I'm not exactly half your age, but like almost. And so you're looking like 30, and that's I mean that with all the love and compliment, because you look super young. You're like, your skin, and I've seen you in person, like, it's not just on screen. I've seen you multiple times in person. I'm telling you this all the time. You're doing something right. Maybe it's the vegetarian diet. I think Bitcoiners don't want to hear that, but maybe it's the vegetarian diet. Maybe it's what are we talking about last time in Prague? The
positive vibrations. I don't know. But I will tell you this. I will give away all my Bitcoin to be 27. All of it. Like, in a blink of a finger. I will give everything away. Not my wife, but everything I have, materially speaking. All the things I own, I would exchange them for B27 again. For sure. I don't even have to think about it. For sure. That'll be like a not even no-brainer. Like 100%. Gain 25 years. Oof. Yeah, that's no price in there. So again, time is all relative, right?
Time is the most valuable thing that a person has. That's very true. I love that.
But also equally, I look forward to get older, if it makes sense. So I wouldn't want to be immortal. I don't know if it makes sense. I'm okay in dying. Like, I think to be finite, it defines value in my life. So I don't dislike the fact that at some point, probably, I don't know, 50 years, maybe I'm halfway, hopefully, I don't know. But I don't dislike the fact that I'm going to move on at some point. I don't know what that means. Worms under soil, or I don't know, heaven or hell. I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't worry me. But I like the fact that at some point it's going to finish. I think it makes sense. It gives value to me. I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, imagine life is infinite. People would be so cautious what they're doing, and would just stay inside all day long. Like, I could just say, like, oh, for the next 30 years, I'm just laying in front of the TV. I don't care. And then, like, I can still do something. I can still do something.
But that's why we have 21 million, right? That's why we have the cap on Bitcoin, because it's finite. I think that's the same approach to life. We know it's limited. I mean, there is a variable here. We don't know when it's going to finish. It could be finishing tomorrow. So, we don't know. So that's another layer to make sure you live, as happy as you can now, because now is the only thing you really have. Because as far as we know, it's all up in the air. But exactly like you said, having a finite number is going to make it valuable. Like Bitcoin, 21 million. Unless you fork off and you make your own coin, which you can have 40 million. If you stay on the chain we have now, is 21. So having a finite is actually a positive thing.
100%. I agree with that. We have an end routine, as you might know from previous appearances, where the previous guest is asking a question for the next guest without knowing who the next guest actually is. And he asked you a fun one. What is the worst Bitcoin advice that you ever heard?
Wow, the worst Bitcoin advice I ever heard. I mean, I have a few. I've heard everything, but I would say probably the worst is sell your Bitcoin to buy any random altcoin because it's going to do better in certain times. And that you can substitute the altcoin with whatever you want. I'm not going to name anything. You know who they are. They are out there. There are plenty. So I'll probably say that. Don't sell your Bitcoin to buy altcoins because that's gambling, and that's probably not something you should do. But there are many others. But this is probably the first one will pop in my mind is like just trying to time the cycle. Because in 2017 was super popular. You had those people, even influencers, saying, hey, this is what I'm doing now. So Bitcoin has gone up. And then those 3 altcoins have not gone up yet. So I'm going to take my Bitcoin, sell them, buy some altcoins. And when they pump, I'll sell them again and I'll have more Bitcoin. Terrible idea. Terrible idea. So that's something I would not do. Yeah, personally. And I can tell you because I've done it. So I've been there. That's the point. It's not like I've not done it. I've been there. I had this thing where I sold some of my Bitcoin to buy some of the altcoins that I thought would make me even more wealthy, whether in fact, if there is one thing I should never done, selling my Bitcoin. So that's my answer right there.
I have one small addition to that, and that might be sounding now weird, but I'm not selling any of my Bitcoin to buy strategy. Because I'm super bullish on strategy. I think they will outperform Bitcoin by 3 to 4x actually. And still, I'm not selling any of my Bitcoin that I hodl today for strategy exactly because of that reason. I'm only buying with new income. I'm slowly building a small position, and that is very intentional. And I do not recommend for anyone to sell Bitcoin to buy strategy, even though I personally believe it would be an amazing strategy to do for the next 2 years. But I still don't recommend it because I think it's lunatic to sell your Bitcoin for anything else than enjoying your life. If you want to enjoy your life, you can sell your Bitcoin. But for another asset, I would never sell it.
There is a caveat to that. If you are like me, I only have Bitcoin, so I have no other option. So again, if you are someone who lives into the fiat standard, yeah, I agree, because you have no other option. But if you are someone like me, I only have Bitcoin. So I have to sell Bitcoin every single day to buy food, to pay rent, to go on a conference, to buy a new camera. So I know I'm like an exception of the rule, but there are people like me that are all in. So for me, I'll have to, and by the way, I think it's great because it's going to make you think about everything to a different perspective. But again, I don't dislike selling Bitcoin. I think it's awesome. Like I can empower someone to buy some because of my, using it perhaps. And I invoice my clients in Bitcoin. So I have a steady stream of Bitcoin coming in every month, or Satoshis, I should say. And the most important thing is to make sure that obviously the more you spend, which is Saylor's new message, and I finally resonate with, which is make sure you spend less than you invoice. That's great. Whether the never sell your Bitcoin is a fiat mindset, I believe, because if you have a fiat job, of course, you don't want to sell it. Why would you sell your Bitcoin? You have fiat to sell. But if you have nothing else, that message is broken. Like you must sell your Bitcoin. Of course, otherwise, how am I going to survive? So, and I know, like I said, I'm an exception of the rule, and I see that, and I understand. But there are people like me that are all in. So anything I do requires me selling Bitcoin, and I love it, by the way. But you have to be in the Bitcoin standard, right?
I would classify that as spending, even if you exchange it for fiat and then spend it. Like with selling, I mean for another asset. Now there's like one nuance to that. If you spend your Bitcoin on a house, is that selling? Because house would be another asset. But I would think it would still classify as spending, not selling. But I see the same way, and man, I'll pay freelancers in Bitcoin. I in that way, I'm selling Bitcoin a lot, like almost every single month, because I'm giving someone Bitcoin. I even have a burger restaurant here in Vienna that takes Bitcoin. My barber, I haven't been at the barber for way too long now, but he takes Bitcoin. So in that way, I'm selling Bitcoin all the time, but I classify that as spending. I classify that purposely like completely different to selling. Selling would be for me, I sell Bitcoin to buy strategy. I sell Bitcoin to buy Ethereum. I sell Bitcoin to buy Tesla stock or something like that.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, you are losing them, but in a different perspective. Like one hand, you are exchanging them versus still you are letting them go. So yeah, I agree. By the way, a house is a liability unless you rent it out to someone. It's not an asset. It's only an asset if it makes you money. If it costs you money, it's a liability. So most people, they buy houses, they have a liability. They don't have an asset. That could be another rabbit hole on its own. There's a beautiful book called Rich Dad and Poor Dad from Kiyosaki. I strongly recommend, because I've been in that mindset. I actually had properties in the past, and I was thinking, oh, I'm going to make an investment and buy an asset. No, if you live in the house, it's a liability. Anyway, I don't want to open another rabbit hole, but I agree. It could be an asset if you rent it out to someone, if it makes money, basically. Yeah.
I 100% agree that a house is a liability. It's either a business or a liability. Like if you rent it out, it's a business at that point, and the business is an asset, I guess. But it's never, yeah. I don't want to open the can of worms of real estate, because I could hate on real estate for a very long time, and we did even a little bit before we started recording, which is fun. But let's keep that can of worms closed, and maybe we can open it in another podcast. So thank you so much, Mr. Maurizio, for being on the podcast. Before I let you go, where can people find you, ask you questions, and reach out to you?
Always a pleasure, Robin. Like I said, you are one of probably my favorite podcasts. I don't actually watch, when they say the chef who does make cakes doesn't eat cake. I actually watch your podcast. It's probably the only one I watch. Sorry, guys. If you're watching, you have a podcast. But the time, it is super limited. So really grateful to be on the show again. YouTube channel at Mr. M Podcast everywhere. So that's my handle. Just be careful, because there are people, they pretend to be us. So we'll never contact you. We'll never ask for trading. I kind of started making short clips on Facebook, and oh my God, the number of spammers pretending to be me, it's just crazy. So please be extra vigilant and make sure we have the blue tick, or we are vetted, or double check, triple check the names and everywhere, but it's at Mr. M Podcast, basically everywhere. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Maurizio, for being on the podcast. And also thank you so much for everyone that is watching and listening, for joining us today. As always, I'll be back. This content is for educational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute financial advice.